Hello there, Atheist Junior here, your friend and humble narrator. And today I'm doing another episode in my Whack an Atheist playlist. Doesn't that roll off the tongue? But before I get to the video, I just wanted to clear up a few things first because I've seen a lot of confusion about um, Kent Hovind and his legal case and all that, which I guess is understandable because, um, we ended the Apologia video saying that Kent was supposed to report on October 18th for 30 days at the county jail, and people were expecting that. I was expecting that, he just sort of didn't, and nothing happened. But I'm going to update you guys on what the timeline is. So September 21st, Kent's found guilty of domestic violence against Cindy. He's sentenced to serve 30 days in jail starting October 30th. October 30th, sorry. And pay Cindy's medical bills. September 22nd, the restraining order is put in effect against Kent. October 7th, Kent applies to try and get a new trial, even though he already got a guilty verdict. October 14th, the judge rejects his request for a new trial. October 18th, Kent filed an appeal. October 30th, Kent just doesn't report to county jail, and nothing happens because he's appealing the case. So I guess, I don't know. November 9th, Kent is suspended from YouTube for 9 days for spreading anti-vax propaganda. And yesterday, November 16th, the first docket for Kent's appeal happened. Now, what that means is basically a docket. The definition of a docket is you enter a case or suit onto the list of those that are due to be heard before the judge. So basically nothing happened yesterday, but the wheels are in motion. So Kent seemed pretty upset on his video yesterday, but he's not saying anything. Haven't heard anything from Cindy, so that's all we know right now. He was on Matt Powell's channel when he had his YouTube ban, but they're now doing videos from Kent Hovind's channel again. So okay, let's get into this video.
Good evening, folks. Kent Hovind here, and Matt Powell back on Kent Hovind Official after a week of being on Matt Powell Official. All the stuff's up on there.
Yes, sir.
Are they going to get that? Get your mic on. Oh, you got one. Okay.
Yeah.
Got mics all over here. Anyway, it is Wednesday, Whack an Atheist Wednesday, November the 17th, 2021. We're the folks who believe the Bible is true. Evolution is dumb and real dumb. I'll show you tonight. Okay. Let's see. Charlie, Darwin. Whack an Atheist is a joke, okay? But it's based on SpongeBob, who needs to be whacked once in a while with real science and knowledge to bring him back to reality. Like, wow, there is no evidence for evolution at all. So they stick up their head and say dumb stuff. Got to whack them back down. So you are Professor Powell now, right?
I guess so.
Okay.
How hypocritical is it that Kent was calling out Professor Dave and saying that he wasn't actually a professor, even though you can look up the school on Google? You can look up his name on Google and find the school that he taught at, and yet he's calling Matt Powell Professor Powell.
On Wednesday, we wear red just to, irritate the bull. That's right, okay? Dinosaurs always lived with man. They did not live millions of years ago. They are lying to your kids about that. Come visit our Dinosaur Adventureland, 1 mile north of downtown Lenox. At the four-way stop sign, we have an amazing, I'm not going to take time to play all this tonight, but I got to change that. 198 baptized now. No visitors tonight. I think they're out chasing the horses that got out. Okay.
I agree. The justice system does suck, but that's sort of what you get in these small towns.
Our Bible Believers Baptist Big Bang Blowout a week from tomorrow. You're all invited, whether you're an atheist or not. The whole world's invited. Come to Dinosaur Adventureland. Did I move it? 24th? Yeah. Whack an Atheist Wednesday will be the 24th. Oh, thank you, ma'am. And then next day, Thanksgiving dinner. Anybody can come. You're all invited to Dinosaur Adventureland. So that's the anniversary of Darwin's book coming out, and it's the day before Thanksgiving, and it's Whack an Atheist Wednesday. So come.
Yeah, the day before Thanksgiving, because people are definitely going to show up to Dinosaur Adventureland the day before Thanksgiving. It's not like they're It's not like they're going to be with their families, Kent. Stupid.
Come all, bring all the evidence you have for evolution. We think evolution is dumb, didn't happen at all. It's a religion. I'll show you tonight. So if you think it's such an obvious truth, come prove it. Speaking of channels, Matt, you've been working frantically. How many channels have you got us on? Are we going to be on and all that stuff?
Yeah, by the end of tomorrow, we'll be on 30 different platforms. And so 30 completely different setups. It's going to be really nice.
And then if they choose to give us a strike or something, we don't care.
We don't care at that point. We'll be on all the other platforms that are free speech that you can't get strikes for.
Free speech.
I've looked on these other sites, and the only one that I've found a new channel for Kent Hovind on is Rumble. The other ones don't seem to have any sort of new presence for him. But I think you do care if your YouTube channel gets striked and you get kicked off of YouTube, Kent, because you get super chats on here. Your channel's monetized, even though you say that it isn't, and I know you want to keep those rolling in.
Yeah, I think okay, anyway, November 24th, great day for the Big Bang. All the world's atheists are invited to come tour Dinosaur Adventureland, then defend your theory at 7 o'clock, and then Whack an Atheist Live, we'll have that. Then the next day will be our Thanksgiving dinner. It's going to be really cool. Let's see, what did I do here? Spend the night at one of our cabins. I got that in there twice. Okay. The church building is close. Has anybody been in there today?
I opened the door.
Well, okay, I'll show you some pictures. That's what it looked like a few weeks ago. Disaster, right? We built a balcony in the back, not a balcony, a place for the sound room and the spotlights and all that stuff. There's the rough oak and rough cedar flooring. And there's the ceiling scaffolding up there. There's the floor today. That cross in the middle with the heart in the middle of the cross, that'll be the floor to the church. It's got the epoxy stuff on there. It looks really sharp. Come on down and see our Dinosaur Adventureland new church, Genesis Baptist Church. There's the balcony, not finished inside. If you'd like to do sheetrock or do electrical wiring, come down. We got less than a week to get it done.
First of all, Kent Hovind is not a doctor. He got his degree from an unaccredited diploma mill that is in a double-wide trailer in the desert of Colorado. His degree is worthless. It's not even worth the paper it's printed on. Second of all, I didn't call him stupid in this video. I don't really call people stupid on my channel. I like to go after people's ideas rather than mocking them the way Kent Hovind does. And yeah, Thanksgiving, not only I'm going to be spending it with my family like a normal person, I wouldn't set foot on Dinosaur Adventureland because I don't think I would leave.
Right. Okay. So our video series, Miss Sandra, we have a special going on. If they buy
Online or the downloadable, buy one, get one free.
Buy one, get one free. You might want to get some of these.
Hello, my name is Kent Hovind. I don't know how to write a dissertation. Hovind.
A whole set, $50, Christmas presents. Something that will change their life more than a new basketball or a skateboard. Okay, there's some of the platforms we're on. Explain this brand.
I hate skateboards. I hate all sports. Except I played tennis in high school, but that's okay. That's okay.
And NewTube, what is that?
Brand YouTube is just a platform that was created by people that were disgruntled with YouTube. They got kicked off of YouTube, and so they went there for free speech.
Yeah, all of the right-wing nationals and white supremacists got kicked off of YouTube for violating TOS, so they went to BitChute for their free speech.
And so that's where the free speech platform is now.
Are we on any of them right now?
Yes, yeah, we're on those 5.
On these 5 right now. Okay.
Correct.
Right.
Hey, look at this, honey. I fixed it. No more global warming. Are they going to kick me off for that?
I don't know. I hope not.
It's a joke, guys. How about this? Proof: eating salad all day does not make you skinny. Anyway, help us. People send me all kinds of stuff. I enjoy a good laugh. Help us stay open for free. Join our 777 club. Go to drdino.com. So I like what they're doing. I'm going to give $1 a day, 31 bucks a month if you can, 31 cents a month, whatever you want. Some people do nothing. Most people do nothing. But if you want to do something, please help us out. Make any checks to CSE, which stands for Creation Science Evangelism. Okay, we've been looking high and low for one functioning brain cell, and those who think there's no God and we came from a dot of nothing. We think you need help. So,
But Kent has computer genius Matt Powell on his side. What do you mean?
Whack an Atheist Wednesday is for you. We're here, honestly, we're here to help, okay? It's easy. Children can spot how dumb evolution is and whack them back down. So many atheists, so little time. We're getting faster at it, though. Knocking them down. We're doing this for your good, folks, okay? We're trying to push out of the way of a speeding car. Don't get mad at us, all right?
I'm trying to push R. Nelson in front of a speeding car.
For your own good. If I took away your keys to keep you from driving drunk, I'd be your friend, not your enemy. Okay, and by showing you you believe in something dumb, we're trying to help. So to all you atheists who are out there, that's appropriate. The simple whack is for you. Let's see. Do you really believe that? How about this? Atheism as a religion. You have to believe there's no God. Is there any possible way somebody could know for sure there's no God?
Atheism isn't about knowing that there's no God. I can't know for sure that there's no God, but I can know for sure that all of the religions on planet Earth have holy books that were written by men. And to me, it's more likely that those men created the gods that they wrote about rather than the option that actual divine beings divinely inspired the texts that they wrote. But atheism, it's not about knowing that there's no God. It's just saying that I'm not convinced by your religious claims and I have no religious denomination.
I was in a debate one time and this guy said, there's no God. I said, are you sure? He said, yes. I said, well, do you know everything? He said, well, no. I said, do you know half of everything? He said, well, no. I said, okay, let's just pretend for a minute that you know half of everything. Would it be possible for God to exist in the other half you don't know?
No, because it's impossible to quantify not only all knowledge, but even half of all knowledge. Even hypothetically, that doesn't make any sense. And asking if God could exist in the lack of knowledge that someone has is a total non sequitur. It's a question that just doesn't make any sense. So the answer is no. And if God doesn't exist in our reality, then he doesn't exist in reality, period.
The case against atheism. Did you find Mike Dobbins? I want to talk to him.
Yeah, I couldn't find any content.
Okay, we have our first super chat for $20 from Please Speak Like Kent Hovind. I was already going to ask you to speak like Kent Hovind, but you are so there for me already. Girl, I love you, Hovind.
Information, but I did find him. He's out there all over the place.
We did a cool video, short video, 2 minutes long. Short answers to big questions.
I love super chats. I love money. Give me your money, Hovind.
Let's see. I go to here, hit play. No. I'm getting this computer stuff here, man. There we go. Look at that. 2 minutes long.
One of the common objections I hear to Christianity from atheists runs like this. Christianity is just a psychological projection. The reason that you Christians believe in God is because it makes you feel good, because you're psychologically weak. You don't have the self-reliance to get through life without belief in some kind of cosmic sky daddy, the fairy in the sky, the invisible friend who's there to hold your hand and make you feel okay. Religion is just a psychological crutch. How would I respond? Well, the first thing I want to say is this. Just because Kent Hovind has never tasted alcohol.
He's had NyQuil, but he has never tasted alcohol.
Because belief in God makes me feel good and gives me comfort doesn't tell you whether or not God exists. You cannot leap directly from how we feel about something to the reality or the falsehood of the thing. Let me illustrate. There are many things that make me feel good. The idea of chocolate makes me feel good. The idea of mountain views makes me feel good. The idea of miniature roller skating elephants makes me feel quite good. But just because I like the idea of those three things doesn't tell you which two are real and which one is false. To discover that, you would need to look a bit deeper. You can't leap from how we feel about something to the truth or the falsehood of it. But there's a further problem with trying to launch psychological missiles against religion for atheists, and it's this. We can turn the psychological argument around and fling it right back at atheism. One of the leading philosophers, atheist philosophers, writing today is Thomas Nagel. He once wrote this in a book. He said, it's not that
No. Kent got arrested for when he first had an accusation for domestic violence. He had a warrant put out for his arrest, and then he got arrested. He bailed out like the next day. But since then, he hasn't done any jail time for his guilty verdict of domestic violence. I don't think that's right, but, you know, it's the reality of the situation so far. But, you know, things are still moving in the court system, so it's not over yet. It's not over yet. Hovind?
don't believe in God. It's that I don't want there to be a God. I don't want the universe to be like that. That's a very strident statement. And my question for Professor Nagel would be, could it just be possible that your hatred and dislike of God runs so deeply that your atheism has emerged as a psychological projection?
Exactly correct. I want to get to something else here tonight, but you cannot possibly know such a thing. Let's see, I'm on this one. Oh, I got to go over here. Okay, there's another one. Evolution, Science, Religion, and Atheism, which is on this guy right here. Now, I'm getting better at this, I think.
There you go.
I'm a little techno challenge. Okay. There are two guys here we need to whack tonight.
All the nonsense that's been. I watched the document.
You believe you came from a rock, Richard. Okay, let's see.
I believe you came from a rock. Kent, how about instead of showing from a textbook, like you say, that people think they came from a rock, why don't you show a clip of an evolutionary biologist saying, I believe that humans evolved from rocks. This is how it happened. Why don't you do that?
Let me get to right here. All right, back to here. Okay. They have pictures in the textbooks beside me of all the animals and plants with lines connecting them. There's a line between the jellyfish and the shark and the human. Lawrence, Richard, do you believe humans? Do you believe this tree of life? Is this something you could possibly know?
Yeah, because of genetics.
Has anybody ever seen any plant or animal produce something other than its same kind?
You haven't defined what a kind is, but you seem to think that evolution says that a dog will give birth to something like a cat. That's not what evolution means. That would violate the law of monophily, and it would actually disprove evolution. So your question is a non sequitur. There's no right answer to your question.
No, you believe it. The beginning of birds. Birds evolved from a group of meat-eating dinosaurs. In addition to being incredibly stupid, why would a dinosaur want to turn into a bird? But this is something they believe. This is not science.
Dinosaurs, a singular dinosaur. Hovind, sorry. Hovind. A dinosaur doesn't turn into a bird. You know, it's not a Pokemon evolution. And scientists don't just believe that birds are dinosaurs based on faith. It's based on fossils that have been found in China, South America, and other countries. And basically, the hunt for the fossilized ancestors of modern birds started when they found the first specimen of Archaeopteryx, which was predicted by Charles Darwin. He said that we'd find a fossilized bird that had unfused wing fingers, and 2 years later, they found Archaeopteryx. So, like birds, it had feathers along its arms and tail, but unlike living birds, it also had teeth and a long bony tail. And the bones in Archaeopteryx' hands, shoulder girdles, pelvis, and feet were distinct, not fused and reduced as they are in living birds, just like Darwin predicted. And so, based on those characteristics, they discovered that Archaeopteryx was an intermediate between birds and dinosaurs. And if you look at the fossil record, it's not a simple transition where one day you have a two-legged meat-eating dinosaur and the next day you have a bird. There is a transition that is so gradual. Even scientists, even paleontologists in the field have trouble identifying some of these where they don't know if it should be classified as a dinosaur or a bird because the line is so blurred because they share both characteristics.
You can tell it long enough and loud enough and people might start believing it, but it's always going to be a belief. Since its formation 4.5 billion years ago, Earth has changed. Life has evolved on Earth. This is for a second grader, right here. Second.
Hello. Hold on. Hopefully never.
Grade book. Second graders are going to believe him if you tell them that, aren't they? Do you
Yeah, that's why you target young children, isn't it, Kent?
believe stars go through a life cycle? Has anybody ever seen that? Does anybody ever see a star get born? Nobody's ever seen that. Stellar evolution.
Star birth takes a long time. So astronomers study different stars that are in different stages of their lives. But there are nebula that are called star nurseries, where you can literally watch stars in the process of being, born.
This is a belief, guys. It's a religion. Primordial soup. Set of conditions present on the Earth 4.2 to...
Yes, it would kill them, just like it would kill you if you were a female with female bones and you got bone surgery and got male bones. You would die.
4 billion years ago. You believe that? Or do you know that? I tell you what, Richard and Lawrence, if it's true that we came from primordial soup, make some more soup like that and make it come alive. Why don't they do that?
Well, I mean, it's very
Because that's fucking stupid, Kent.
elementary science for somebody to say. It just, whenever somebody says that they think the primordial soup hypothesis is legit, it just goes to show they have no idea.
His shirt is a strawberry. Is his shirt a strawberry? Is that a strawberry? Hovind? It's a strawberry, but that's okay. That's okay. Hovind?
Idea what they're talking about. If you were to type in on Google, how does DNA get destroyed? It says DNA is vulnerable. It breaks down in sunlight and in water. So what do they say DNA came alive in? Sunlight and water. What?
Okay, Matt Powell, if you go and Google that article and read the very next sentence, because it says, but it breaks, DNA is vulnerable. It breaks down in sunlight and water, and there are enzymes that naturally destroy it. But long after death, samples would survive in teeth and bones. Police and forensic scientists often work with only the tiniest samples from a fingerprint or a spatter of saliva. And it would be very straightforward to take a biopsy, which would be a very reliable source of DNA. That would be stored in either a chemical buffer that prevents the breakdown of DNA or frozen. So maybe read the rest of the article for once in your life.
Destroys DNA? What's the number one thing that destroys it? Sunlight and water. So it just shows they're scientifically illiterate. And the reason we know this is because when we do forensics, right, in the FBI, and they look at somebody that passed away, let's say in a fire, you can trace DNA molecules better of somebody that burned up in a fire than somebody that died and was placed in water. What that means is you're more likely to have molecules assemble themselves and create life in
In a
fire than in water. Really let that sink in.
Yeah. First, there's heat left over from when gravity first condensed a planet from the cloud of hot gases. Stop. I'd like to see you get a cloud of hot gas to condense into a solid.
Kent, stars aren't solids. They're basically balls of plasma that are undergoing nuclear fusion. What the heck are you talking about?
Gravity. I'd like to see, is this something they believe? As the molten ball cooled some 4 billion years ago, the outside hardened and formed a crust. Did anybody observe this? Is this real science, or is this what you believe? It's what they believe. I don't know how to get them to say it. Over millions of years, Colorado River carved the Grand Canyon.
I guess that was that quote was describing the formation of Earth's core, but I have heard Kent many times say that same quote about, oh, you wouldn't have a gas condense into a solid to make a star, which is just completely wrong.
From solid rock. You can't possibly know such a thing. You can believe that if you wish. All I'm hoping tonight is to get some of the atheists that have half a brain cell to say, I really do have a religion, don't I? Yeah, which is fine. I don't care what religion you have. You can believe there's no God. That's fine.
Although it is possible to have a solid go directly to a gas. It's called sublimation.
But I get upset about you teaching that to the kids in school, and I got to pay for it.
You don't pay property taxes because Dinosaur Adventureland and CSE are a 501c3 organization. So you're lying.
Hovind, go start your own private school and teach whoever wants to come.
There are universities that teach people who want to learn about evolution already. So
simple. Okay. Colorado River cut through a layer of millions of years of baloney. Evidence for evolution, the fossil record. There's no fossil record. You believe the bones in the dirt can do something no animal today can do. No animal today can produce anything other than its kind.
Well, yeah, fossils can't give birth. They're dead rock. They're permineralized concretions. They're not going to be giving birth or producing something after their kind, so of course not. And what do you mean there's no fossil record? If there are fossils and the fossils are recorded and kept in museums and laboratories, that's a fossil record. I'm sorry to break it to you.
But if you find a bone in the dirt, well, that could do it. That's why it's a religion, guys. They don't get it. You believe a four-legged animal changed to like a whale.
Not a singular four-legged animal changed to a whale. Populations of four-legged land animals over time, due to mutations and natural selection, gradually evolved into whales. Not the same thing.
That's a religion. Transitional fossils, evidence of evolution. All they have, and I'd like to point out tonight, you two guys are on a program here claiming we want to stop, fight against religion. How do we do it? Openly or sneak in? Well, include evolution, please. That's a religion. That's all. Millions of years ago, dinosaurs roamed the earth. You don't know that. You believe that. Humans probably.
Well, dinosaur fossils are found in geologic strata, and those strata can be absolutely dated with radiometric dating to be in the millions or billions of years old. So yes, we do know that. Go to jail.
Evolved from bacteria 4 billion years ago. Well, make them bacteria do it again. I want to see it this time.
Make them bacteria do it again. Was that English?
It's a religion. What humans evolved from.
Make God create something again. Make Jesus resurrect again. Like, why do we have to do something to prove it happened? You don't have to, Hovind, you don't have to see something happen to know that it happened or to have evidence that it happened. Go to jail.
Modern humans originated in Africa within the past 200,000. You don't know such a thing.
we can't even, it's difficult to figure out what even happened 1,000 years ago. Archaeologists are trying to understand just 1,000 years ago. They don't have certainty about it. But you mean to tell me that we have certainty, absolute certainty that there's no absolutes, and that 4.5 billion years ago, the earth was created by itself with no God, with no
From
outside
nothing.
force. From nothing.
They believe that.
No, not from nothing. A planetesimal formed after the accretion disk from the sun forming. That's not nothing.
You can't get them to understand, or maybe not to admit, that they have a religion. Atheism is not science. Evolution is not science. Humans evolve different body types. This is something you believe in. It's not science. For Dawkins, Darwin's theory of natural selection solves the question of where humans come from. I'm sure it does, Richard. You got it all settled in your brain. You like that belief, don't you? I'm all settled into my belief. I believe Bible's true.
Okay, well, why is it okay for you to do that and not him?
I'm settled into that. It's proven itself for 53 years now.
Is this saying that Dawkins trusted Darwin's theory, like on this source here from BBC? It looks like it.
He does not believe in God.
Yeah, what's wrong with that? It's not trusting Darwin's theory. God, it's easy to get those two names mixed up, isn't it? It's not saying he's trusting Darwin's theory. You have Darwin's theory, which came out even before we understood Mendelian genetics. So you have natural selection discovered by Darwin. You add Mendelian genetics, and you add all of this stuff that's been discovered with genetics, sequencing the human genome, and just everything that we have today, like CRISPR and epigenetics and all that stuff. It's called the modern synthesis. That's what he trusts in. It's not just Darwin.
Dawkins argued that evolution does not need help from a higher being. Evolution doesn't even happen, Richard.
Well, it's interesting because he says for Dawkins, Darwin's theory on it. So it's referring, Dawkins
Evolution is literally still happening today.
obviously trusts Darwin. And he
Right.
even said what finally made me into an atheist was the understanding that came with Darwinian evolution. Okay, well, Darwin himself said that a cold shudder has run through me, and I've asked myself whether I've devoted my life to a fantasy. So you're trusting a man who thought he could be living in a fantasy.
And he
Well, just like the quote line about Darwin and the eye, if you keep reading that passage, he concludes that he's not living in a fantasy.
was, but he's out of it now. How the
Kent, you live in a fantasy. Auburn.
eye evolved, Richard Dawkins. Scientist and atheist Richard Dawkins explains how the eye evolved into what it is today. He doesn't believe in intelligent design, but rather the human eye evolved from flat patches of light-sensitive cells. Richard, that is not something you can know. That is not part of science. It is what you believe.
It is part of science. I put a link to that video of Dawkins explaining the evolution of the eye in the description of this video.
He doesn't believe in intelligent design, but rather, they left out the words, he believes in. Am I missing it?
Well, I mean, he obviously believes in, right. He believes in that, but he does believe in a form of intelligent design is possible, because he said it could be that we came from a higher life form, not from God, but a designer that designed biochemistry and molecular biology.
You're misquoting him again. You're misrepresenting panspermia. That's not an intelligent design. That's an incidental seeding of life from outer space. It's not like aliens designing life on Earth. I've heard the same misrepresentation so many times.
And so forth. And that desire could be could well be a higher intelligence from elsewhere in the universe.
And obviously, what's the next question? Where did that intelligence come from? Okay.
It came from
How did
Dinosaur.
Lawrence Krauss discover how the universe came from nothing? You did not discover that, Lawrence. You believe that. Tell you what, get a box of nothing and do it again.
The news reporters asked him that same thing. They said, and how do you get something from nothing, Lawrence? He goes, you see, if you put all of the energy in the universe together, it looks like it's zero. This is literally word for word what he said.
Okay, well, in the case of a universe that is approximately uniform in space, you could show that the negative gravitational energy would exactly cancel out the positive energy represented by matter. So the total energy of that type of universe equals 0. So I believe he's talking about a hypothetical situation, like if our universe is like that, its total energy adds up to 0.
They don't get it. A universe from nothing. There's his book. And these guys are
Hovind from nothing.
speaking to thousands and thousands of people and influencing them to make them doubt the Creator and to doubt the Bible and to doubt creation. And they're welcome to do that.
Good.
But they're doing it at taxpayer expense.
So not your expense.
Guys, you have a religion, start a church.
They can't even defend it. I mean, Richard Dawkins was recently asked in an interview, they said, can you explain just one genetic process where information gets added to the genome? Just show us a beneficial mutation like that. And he sat there, he couldn't come up with it. He sat there for, I think, 30 seconds and then finally said, okay, cut the camera. That's the...
Yeah, that's not true. I also have the link to that video in the description. Dawkins is asked a question and he spends a decent amount of time gathering his thoughts and then he starts answering it. It's so what? To me, it's better to think about what you're going to say and know what you want to say and take your time rather than just blurting out some bullshit. That's what you guys do. I don't see that as a bad thing.
Mechanism that has to work is mutation through selection.
Trillions of times.
Look on creation.com. Richard Dawkins, Stumped is what it's known as.
Yeah, there's an unbiased source, creation.com. There is lots of beneficial mutations. Beneficial mutations are context specific.
Guys don't have the... we were seeking the answers. Dawkins had them. If he had the answer, he would know the basics of molecular biology and the fact that mutations are deleterious.
I'm pretty sure that Richard Dawkins knows the basics of evolutionary biology.
Is not beneficial.
All known mutations are harmful, neutral, or fatal. They either harm the organism or kill the organism or do nothing. And then if you did get a beneficial mutation, which is purely hypothetical, wouldn't you have to get two of the opposite sex in the same place at the same time? And they got to find each other and be interested?
No, that's literally not how any of this works at all. Learn about populations, for God's sake, Kent.
You got a whole bunch of problems, Richard. Way more than you think. Anyway, let them...
I'd like to watch those two animals fight each other, though. Bestiality, Hovind. I like bestiality. That's okay, Hovind.
alone. They be blind leaders of the blind. God said in Exodus chapter 20 in the Ten Commandments, I am the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. The first commandment of the Ten Commandments right here. Don't have any other gods before me. Well, you guys are leading people to believe there is no God, so you're breaking this first commandment, okay? Whosoever therefore shall break one of the least of these least commandments and shall teach men so, which is what both of you are doing, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven, and whosoever shall do and
It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
teach them shall be called the great in the kingdom of heaven. Deuteronomy, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy might. Deuteronomy 11, love the Lord thy God. Matthew 22, thou shalt love the Lord thy God. Mark 12, Luke 10. Lawrence Krauss directed the Origins
What was the point of
Project
that?
at Arizona State University and was a professor at ASU, School of Earth and Space Exploration, and Department of Physics. He retired in 2019. He is now the host of the Origins podcast and president of the Origins Foundation. Okay, Lawrence, you believe, not know, you believe by faith everything came from nothing. Would you just admit that it's a religious belief? That's all. I'd like you guys to admit it's not part of science. It's a religion, a universe from nothing. Why there is something rather than nothing. Compelling evidence that our complex cosmos evolved from a hot ball of gas. The God delusion, Richard Dawkins. How do you help them?
Well, I think to help their audiences, the best thing to point out is back in, I think, 2016, Richard Dawkins made some very crazy remarks. Because remember, people think they're so logical and rational, these men that have written the God delusion. Richard Dawkins said that he had no issue back in 2016 with mild pedophilia. He said, you know what, I do not have a problem with it. And news media went nuts, surprisingly, and said, they published articles, Richard Dawkins pedophilia.
Yeah, that's not what he said. What Richard Dawkins said was that he went to, I think, like a Catholic school, and he had an experience of being sexually harassed by a church elder or like a priest, but his experience was relatively minor compared to a lot of other kids and what they've gone through. And he basically just said that it didn't ruin his life or cause him a lot of problems later in life. That's it. It's not saying he's like loves pedophilia.
Remarks spark outrage. He had shared a story how he was slightly abused as a young boy, slightly, he says, and that it didn't do any lasting harm.
Yeah, if you want to talk about being okay with pedophilia, Matt Powell, why don't you look at the guy who's sitting next to you? Okay, because Kent has allowed somebody on his property who had 6 counts against him of illicit contact with children under 12 years old, young boys.
He says, well, I noticed you've got something a little wrong there, Richard Dawkins. You're an atheist. It didn't do any lasting harm. I think it kind of all shows us.
Oh, so you do know what he said, don't you? Yeah, that's what he said. It didn't do any lasting harm. In his case, he's just being honest. He's not saying that, that type of thing isn't harmful. And, maybe he shouldn't have said that. Richard Dawkins has put his foot in his mouth plenty of times. I'm not going to say that he hasn't. But you could at least be honest about what he says.
Anybody with a rational mind, that it did do lasting harm. Look at your right-hand man in this video, Lawrence Krauss, convicted of sexual assault recently. Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Kent Hovind, convicted of domestic abuse.
Also, I believe, convicted of sexual assault. Neil deGrasse Tyson, who you both associate with, said, and I quote, that it's hard to argue against the possibility that we are not a creation of some kid in a parent's basement programming up a world for their own entertainment. You believe in intelligent design, just a 4th grader in his parents' basement.
Okay. Dawkins, Lawrence Krauss, and Neil deGrasse Tyson, they've all done or been accused of real shitty things, but who are you sitting next to, Matt Powell? I mean, come on.
Rather than the God of the universe.
Anything but the facts.
Christopher Hitchens, God is not great. How religion poisons everything. He knows better now.
Indeed.
Don't you, Christopher? Let's see. NPR. This I believe. There is no God. Well, Penn, thank you for being honest. This is something you believe. It's not something you know. It's your religion. That's all. I believe that there is no God. I'm beyond atheism. Atheism is not believing in God. Not believing in God is easy. You can't prove a negative, so there's no work to do. Well, Penn, you can't prove there's not a God either, can you?
That's what he just said. You can't prove a negative. And who cares? Your whole argument is just based on semantics. Who cares if somebody uses the word believe or not?
Let them alone. Blind leaders of the blind. Atheism is a religion. That's all I wanted to share tonight. It's something you have to believe in. Quit calling it science.
Just the word atheist is a contradiction. What if I say I'm an atheist, they say that means I lack belief. Let's go based on their fake definition for a minute. That just means I lack belief in your God. It doesn't mean I don't believe in him. It means I lack belief. That's like saying, well, what if you asked me something about yourself? And I said, what if you asked me, Sandy, said, Matt, tell me about yourself. What if I said, you know what, I'm a non-believer in fishing? That's a weird way to define myself. When you say I'm an atheist, you're saying I'm a non-believer in this. Why don't you define yourself by something you believe rather than something you don't believe in? That's like saying I'm a non-stamp collector. That's literally the same logic. When you say I'm an atheist, you might as well say I'm a non-stamp collector. I'm a non-fisherman. And just the fact that they write books against God, it shows that they hate God. I mean,
Yeah, that was just really stupid. Atheists don't hate God. I don't have any hatred for God. I'll tell you what I do hate. What I hate is how Christianity influences American politics and how right-wing politicians and lawmakers create policies that directly harm the healthcare rights of women, queer people, people of color, and how they keep trying to erode the separation of church and state and repeal Roe v. Wade, among other things. That's what I believe in. Atheist activism is fighting to protect the separation of church and state and make people remember the fact that the United States was founded as a secular nation. It's not founded as a Christian nation. And there are issues that atheists can believe in or can be passionate about that don't have anything to do with like hating God. Like the concept of hating God is just silly anyway, because if they think God doesn't exist, then, well, how can I hate God? But it's the influence of the religion itself that's a problem.
imagine writing books against fishing and how I lack belief in fishing. It doesn't make any sense. The word, even the word, when somebody says, I'm an atheist,
Imagine making YouTube videos against people being gay.
that person just admitted to me that they don't think about what they're saying at all.
Right.
Because if you thought of what you were saying, you wouldn't define yourself by what you don't believe in. Brother Hovind, how are you?
Okay, shut up. I'm done with this. So, thank you guys for watching my video. Hit subscribe, like the video, leave a comment. You can visit me on, you can follow me on Twitter at Atheist Junior. If you want to support my channel and support content like this, as well as seeing exclusive live streams and videos that are only on Patreon, you can go to my Patreon and pledge as low as $1 per month. If you pledge $1, you get access to all of the benefits. I don't have tiers for my patrons. You only have to sign up, and you basically get early access to all of my videos. You get your name at the end of my recorded videos, and you get access to Patreon-only live streams and videos. I want to take a second to just say that I feel really terrible about the stuff that happened to one of my fellow YouTube atheist peers, which is Vice Rhino, and you know what he's going through right now. You know, I don't even know what to say really, but if I could send a message to him, I would just say, if you're going to take time off of YouTube, take as much time as you need. There's no right or wrong way to grieve. There's no right amount of time that it's going to take. And I'm going to be putting links in the pinned comment of this video to a fundraiser that has already reached its goal, but people are still donating to it, as well as an Amazon wish list that is full of Christmas gifts for Vice Rhino's kids. So just wanted to say that before I end the stream. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.